Tonight we are looking at a case of
He worked the day shift at the local Wendy's, and he kept mostly to himself. The restaurant manager confirmed. He felt like the quiet type, the one who doesn't say much. He doesn't really socialize with the other employees. Wendy's manager Adrian Mendez said he just worked, got paid, and came in to get his check. A former classmate of the gunman Ramos would get severely bullied and made fun of a lot, and was taunted by the others for his clothes he wore and his family's financial situation. People would like actually call him school shooter and stuff like that. He said hours before the shooting, the gunman made a serious, honest message on different social media stats. 58 magazines were found at the school, 11 inside the school, 3 on the shooter's body, 2 in room 12, 6 in room 111, 5 on the ground, and 1 was in the rifle. 32 rifles were located outside the school, with most of them in a backpack he had dropped outside. There was another 2 magazines found at his home for a total of 60. but he had a total of 1,657 rounds of ammunition. The first thing that the gunman did was shoot his grandmother. He fled, and when he was fleeing, he had an accident just outside the elementary school. He then crashed the vehicle into what happened to be a flood controlled channel near the elementary school and emerged with a rifle and a backpack while wearing a tactical vest that holds extra ammunition. He moved toward the school and entered through the back door. The door had just been propped open by a teacher about a minute before his truck crashed near the school. At 11:33 a.m. local time, he entered the school through the propped open door and began shooting into the first classroom. He shot more than 100 rounds based on audio evidence only at the time. In total, hundreds of rounds were fired in just 4 minutes. The shooter was on the premises for up to about an hour before law enforcement forcibly entered a room into the classroom and killed him. Officer officials said it's going to be within like 40 minutes or something, within an hour. He had a total of 1,657 rounds of ammunition. Those who knew the shooter personally largely described him as a loner with little, if any, social life whatsoever. He attended the local high school and lived with his grandparents. He had no friends and no criminal history or gang affiliation. Who was Salvador Ramos? Where did he come from? Where was he born? Reports have been claimed by Texas State Senator Roland Gutierrez, a Democrat who represents Uvalde. He told the USA Today that Ramos was a U.S. citizen and that he was born in North Dakota. He said that information came from the Texas Department of Public Safety. That claim about Ramos' immigration status was previously debunked by PolitiFact and Rutgers. The truth is, reports are still not firm on his birth nor his childhood. They have little or no pictures of him as a child and no evidence that he attended Robb Elementary as an elementary student, no junior high school status, nothing whatsoever has been told to the public. There are no baby pictures and no childhood pictures for proof. All the pictures we have are the pictures that have been shown thus far after the shooting. So he is just a ghost, per se. Truly all had truly all to be had are small rumors of his life. According to a resident, Salvador Ramos was a good guy, but he was a victim of bullying in high school. The man says, "My son tells me that he knows a boy who liked to hit him." He says, "What about his grandparents, his parents?" Both parents and the grandparents of the Texas school shooter Salvador Ramos had criminal records, including aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and trying to pass fake checks. His parents, Adriana Martinez and Salvador Ramos Sr., had their own brushes with the law more than a decade ago. But according to the Uvalde court records, Gonzalez, the grandmother, was charged with an unspecified misdemeanor on June 9th, 1993, that led to her arrest. She was convicted and sentenced to a maximum of 2 years of probation and had to pay a court fine of $500 and court fees of $157. It's unclear from court records what exactly she did. So, despite no real history from family, who could say that he was quiet? No personal happy stories they remember? No close outings with him do they remember? Which strikes me as odd. So, there's just nothing the people closest to him can tell us about him. What we have here is a real mystery. No pictures, no childhood stories, no fond memories from anyone. Makes me wonder, in my opinion, is Salvador Ramos a victim himself of smuggling? One thing for sure, Uvalde, Texas is a beehive of smuggling action on a daily basis. In Uvalde, which is less than 2 hours away from San Antonio, law enforcement is reporting an increase of human smuggling cases. From January 1st to now, I think we've seen about 35 cases, and we've dealt with 35 human smuggling cases, said the Uvalde Sheriff Ruben Nolasco. He says, when we conduct a traffic stop or we have a chase, you're not dealing with one or two immigrants. You're dealing with 8 to 20 to 22 immigrants, Nolasco said. The Uvalde Police Department and Uvalde Sheriff's Office have been working closely with the U.S. border, and he states, I have 14 deputies. Uvalde County measures 40 miles by 40 miles, so you're really stretching my officers thin when we have to get into that many cases. Wow, that's not a lot of people for that amount of span. And think of the day when the shooting happened. That's why we witnessed Border Patrol there, Sheriff's Department there, police there. So many. It looked like so many to us, but it's not a lot when you count how much of the human trafficking and smuggling of people that is going on in that particular area. So, with that said, we're going to get on to getting a little bit more personal um, with. I'm going to introduce you first to meet Antonio. Antonio guided his first group of undocumented immigrants into the United States when he was 12. He's 17 now and one of the most prolific juvenile smugglers along the section of the border that's full of them. He's notorious among the Border Patrol agents of Brownsville, Texas. Brownsville, Texas patrol officers keep a list of the 10 most successful juvenile smugglers on the wall of their office. He knew what he was doing, said one senior Border Patrol agent based in Brownsville, because his goal is to win. They are boys who are the children we're talking about, and these are children that are doing all of this. Help their until they're 17 or 18, the task that they're given vastly changes from smuggling people to a totally different event that they are required to do. So pay close attention, because they are boys who grew up on the southern banks of the Rio Grande, and they earn about $100 for each immigrant they get across the border. So we're talking about a lot of money here. $100 per person they get across. So this is one of them's payday right here. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. That's like $2,500 right there. Um, for many, it's a part time job, a hole in the border economy that they can fill. Some have become famous for their smuggling feats. They are suspect of rap songs. In Mexico, they write a lot of rap songs, and most of them are rap songs about the smugglers. Sometimes they name the smuggler by name, well, the name that they go by. Images of their exploits have been shared widely on social media. Their success is made possible by a quick, by a quirk in the U.S. immigration system. Antonio and the other juvenile smugglers mostly don't have to worry about getting caught. But that's all the way up until, and this is what we're looking at here. These are kids. You can tell by his hands. This is a kid right here. Anyway and every way. I know most of these pictures look like it's just adults, but their statues are all small, and so it is easy to see that children look like adults there. But let's stay on this money picture because the birth date is really very vital because Ramos himself just had turned 18, and in the cartel or the kids working for the cartel, turning 18 is a very drastic change in your job or what you consider your job. When you're under 18, you only can do the smuggling part of what's going on. But when you get 18, the story changes because that's when cartels steer them toward a new role. As the boys approach their 18th birthday, the group recruits them for a more dangerous work as drug traffickers, for example, or hitmen. This is interesting when you think of Ramos and how he got all the money and his mother's statement of he had his reasons. This is a very odd statement at the time from his mother. And I was very, concerned about why nobody checked more into that statement, um, because it's definitely out of character for that to be a statement about someone who just did what he did. I honestly believe the cartel played a huge role in Rob Elementary, yet that's the story the Border Patrol, they do not want us to not see it. Even Stephen Bannon is using his War Room podcast to spread the conspiracy theory about Rob Elementary. I mean, Bannon believes that this happened due to open borders. And I kind of agree with him in a way. Bannon and I have come to the same thoughts on the shooting. It's connected to trafficking of human beings, guns, and drugs at the border. Um, to me, it's mostly connected, and people can argue and say that it's not connected. But the fact that, you know, you have this kid who just basically turned 18 years old and all of a sudden just wants these guns and all this ammo, you know? And so, what is the sudden urge? Well, his age. That's a huge factor in the change from what he was to what he is. Especially since it's already known that, people didn't like him or kids didn't like him And so the cartel pretty much looked very favorably for him and probably to him. So Ben Burgin reported on live as he was standing at the intersection. He was standing at the intersection where the trains drop off illegal aliens and the police were in the place where Ramos lived, his grandmother's house, and where all the aliens jumped off was in this particular community again where Ramos lived. So you have a railroad train just about a block up and over from Ramos's grandmother's house. And this is a very big hot spot where illegal aliens get off and hang out in that neighborhood where his grandmother and all lived. So it is a possibility that Ramos himself was an illegal alien because we have no facts on anything still to this day. They tell you he was born in North Dakota. Okay, that just sounds odd as hell. Um, and it makes no sense. Um, we don't know if he's illegal or legal. We have no baby pictures of him. We have nothing. He slept on a mattress on his grandma's floor. Um, Yet she's the kind of woman who has property that she's the landlord of that she rents out in the area. That's where her daughter lived in a house with, that she paid rent to her mom, and that's where um Ramos is living. So I know that everybody, just believes he's just a shooter, but I think it goes deeper than that. Um, he literally lines up with the stories of being an alien and being someone that just turned 18 years old and is crossing over into the cartel's more serious uh, role. I know nobody wants to hear that, but the police still aren't showing, the footage that they have, even from the outside of the school, of him approaching the school. So I think they're banking on everybody just forgetting about the whole thing. And I do think I mean, in my opinion, I've said it often, there's an easy path to keep all them cops outside to keep the people away from getting a closer look and getting those kids and him out the building the other way and never be seen. Um, this could have been a hit because of the border patrol. Maybe that's why they were guaranteed to go in there and get their kids out first. Um, and maybe that Spanish lady that jumped the fence and went in there knew exactly what was going on, especially since she's a migrant worker. She probably knew exactly what was going on, and she wasn't leaving her kids in there. So she went in. She got what she did. Nothing happened to her, and she came right on out. All of these things should be making people go, "What? What's going on here with this?" But as usual, no people. Enough time goes by, and people forget about it. So, I'm starting my series here at Uvalde because that's the place to start it because there's a lot of info here. Um, so the interview has 2 weeks, but the interview was 2 weeks before Rob incident that Ben Burgin had with the mayor, who was reported to have had 48 lockdowns so far at the time due to cartel. Now write that down, get it in your head real good. The school had 48 lockdown procedures practiced and went over 48 times with the mayor who reported this for public safety for the school. They've done it 48 times within the year. So then I don't know. That just brings me back to I really don't know how Ramos got $8,000 and another 10,000. Because remember he worked at Wendy's or Whataburger too at some point. But I can tell you how he did not get it by working at Wendy's flipping burgers at like $4 an hour. This is just not where he's making 8,000 and 10,000 in cash to buy those guns and to buy that amount of ammunition. Nobody know how. So this might, if you think this is a joke, this is not a joke. There is so much going on here. Um, and people are like, oh, we've already covered the Uvalde school. It's over. No, it's not. What I'm talking about is this is the heartbed of smuggling, trafficking, and a lot of other things going on here. So I'm going to start my series right here, and then we're going to go to other places throughout the series where smuggling of children is a very it's big in America. Period. Very big. And let me just make something clear right here between smuggling and trafficking. Smuggling is crime against a border. So when the all the people from New Mexico um, cross into Texas and they're crossing a border, okay, and it's usually by transportation. And as we see, how easy it could be to cross the border with all those trains near, near and inside Uvalde, and it's not that far away. It's like 40 miles maybe to the border. Period. It's really not a far drive. And then smuggling requires border crossing, and it's voluntarily. It's very important for these two factors here. Trafficking is a crime against a person, okay? And then trafficking is exploitation based. And then it's no crossing required, and it's involuntary. And this is where you get the children. Um, there is, it's really weird. There's a lot of smuggling of children, but they're within the borders of the United States and cross state lines. So we have to call that trafficking because they're not crossing the border of the United States. So, and when it comes down to it, the words are not that far apart in meaning the same thing, but come down to voluntary, involuntary. So we have a lot of trafficking inside the country within states to states to states. This is where people are picking up other people's kids from somewhere, taking them, and then sending them down an area where things just aren't good. And we're going to cover all of this within this series here. Just the facts. I just took 1 month in 2022, and I took May, and this was that on the Texas border. They've had 5,228 arrests. Okay, but of that, we have 663 unaccompanied children, 6 U.S. citizens, 15 offenders, and then we have 53 previous felony convictions, murder, rape, kidnapping, and sex offender children. Those, and this is just 1 month. That is an insane amount of numbers. And, you can see quite clearly, here's a big old hole in the fence right here. The fence definitely should have been completed. But, here's a picture of a lady. She's so small. Look how small she is. So it's really hard for them to keep statistics over people who are, children and women. This looks like a small child to me. But it's a woman who was in a duffel bag. She was in that duffel bag right there, inside it, zip closed. Well, this guy ran from the border patrol, crashed his car, looked at all the people running up to the back of that SUV. You know why? Because this lady's in it. She's in it. She's in a duffel bag in the back of it. And here's when they unzip the duffel bag and she comes out. Wow. You're really small when you can fit in a duffel bag. I'll tell you that much. They're everywhere in every part of the cars. But if that's not good enough, let's check this out. This is going to blow your mind. Well, I think I'll read about it first. So, after years of investigation, the longest tunnel used for smuggling was discovered in the United States and Mexico border. According to the U.S. officials, the tunnel's range is 1,330 meters. The underground passage began in Tijuana. No, Tijuana, I think. It's either Tijuana or Tijuana. So it's okay. Somebody's going to clear that up in a minute. About 76 meters away from the border and ends in Otay Mesa, a neighborhood around 24 kilometers south of San Diego, United States. The tunnel features many facilities such as elevators at both ends, a ventilation system, electricity, and rails. It was located 21 meters below the ground and it's about 1,650 meters tall and 6 meters wide. So I don't think you're getting a good visual of that. So let's look at this right here.
Today, U.S. Border Patrol found the longest ever drug smuggling tunnel on the southwest border. We're taking a look in news and numbers. Tonight, it's 4,370 and 15. Agents say the tunnel, which starts in Mexico and ends in San Diego, stretches over 4,300 feet. The tunnel was discovered last August, and investigators say it's taken them months to map and explore the tunnel. The entire system, which is 70 feet below ground, is more than just a simple tunnel. It has a rail car system to speed up travel, plus forced air ventilation and a drainage system. Those fancy additions have become a trademark of smuggling tunnels along the border. Authorities have found 15 sophisticated tunnels on California's border with Mexico since 2006, with hallmarks including lighting, hydraulic lifts, and electric wiring.
Wow. So yeah, that was just a short preview of one of the things, but it's not really a short preview of it. It's just how long, things happened. So if he can walk in here and get these, well, then that is a story that just happened. But have we really taken on the real tragedy here? I truly believe he was in smuggling. I have more indicators that point toward him being a part of the cartel, being one of the kids who participated in smuggling people over here until his birthday came, and then he had to do something important. And that thing of importance was either to be a drug trafficker or a hitman. That's what he was going to have to do. And I think it went more toward the hitman. I hate to say that, but that looks how it is. Even though people don't want to talk about it, he fits the criteria of it. His age fits. I think that fits all of it. So we're gonna let this sit right here for you to marinate over. But first, I want to talk about this too. When did we stop doing this? The missing on the milk cartons. These people, as far as I know, I looked up this kid's name and this kid's name. They still ain't been found. See, because I remember when I was younger, and I heard one time about them saying missing kids. Kids aren't missing to me. They're somewhere, but they're not missing. They're some way. So, and this is much more rampant than it's been ever before. I mean, there are groups of children missing in certain places, and the next place we stop in this journey is going to be huge and massive, and really it's going to probably like not sit so well with you, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done. So we're gonna let's let this sink in, and I will see you soon, and we will dive deeper into the U.S. smuggling part of this. Until then, think hard on it, and we'll pray for all of these kids, and hopefully, we can find some piece to a story, uh, or a way to get this trimmed down a little.